We're going. We're live.
Oh, I didn't see. I get an alert every time. All
Yeah.
right, never mind. I didn't get my alert. So,
Well, it said it to me. I don't. That's weird.
oh, okay. All right. Welcome everybody to the Chinchilla Pickin' Podcast. It is March the 23rd, 2025.
And you're frozen.
As we want everyone.
Start over. You froze up.
All right, here we go. Ready? Welcome everybody to the Chinchilla Pickin' Podcast. It is March the 23rd, 2025 at 3:13 p.m. As always, we hope to be entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. My name is David Underwood, and I'm joined by the one and only Brandon Beaver. Brandon, how are you?
I'm great. How about you?
I am doing fantastic. So many things coming up for me this year, for my family, for yeah, just everything in general. So everybody knows my daughter went off to college. Last year I had my big surgery, so I kind of didn't really do much like travel or involved in anything. I was trying to recover major
Okay.
surgery. You know, you replace parts of your bone with metal, turn into part Wolverine. And then this year is a different year. So I signed up for all these different groups and things to stay active and be outside and activities. And I think I overcommitted, Brandon. I think I
It happens.
overcommitted, and now I'm doing
That
so much. I'm like, I got no time for nothing. No
and that's
time. I mean, it's
exactly
all
why.
fun. Yeah.
That is why I am realistic and I commit to nothing.
But you know what? It's all fun things. None of it is like work or like stuff that you're like, oh, I have to do this. Right? It's all fun things. It's just I think I feel like I overcommitted, but we'll see. We'll see because I enjoy staying busy. So that actually might be good for me to just stay busy like that and constantly be moving from one to the next. I might like that. But
Okay.
we'll see how it plays out. In the meantime, it is March Madness. I won't do any obscure, comments since we didn't, from last week. I learned my lesson. March Madness, though, everyone knows, everyone understands. It was St. Patty's Day last week. It's basketball season. How's your brackets doing, Brandon?
I don't have any.
Okay, mine is busted. Yes, I did not have McNeese State beating Clemson. Didn't call that one. I did have St. John's winning, so I lost that one. I am not doing well in my bracket. So I actually had San Diego State making it to the tournament in that first four. So there, my whole bracket's just whatever. I'm
I'm
done.
the opposite of everybody that lives in Cincinnati. Everybody here watches college or basketball and does not watch pro. And I
Right.
watch the NBA and I know nothing about college. Nothing.
You know what? It's funny. You're a Dallas fan and you like the Cowboys and the Mavericks and all this stuff, but you don't like the Dallas Stars for hockey. I don't understand
Who's
that.
that?
You don't cheer on the Dallas Stars, like one of the great NHL hockey teams.
Oh, great. Yeah. I mean, we'll watch a 2 hour game and it'll be 3-2 will be the score. That sounds amazing.
So I take you don't like soccer either.
Yeah. You know what? I'm kind of being sarcastic and I'm mostly joking here. The fights in hockey are great. Those are fun.
Yeah, he went to a fight and a hockey game broke out. It's I don't know. I like baseball. I like soccer. I like cricket.
And a lot of
Um,
those guys that play soccer are exceptionally tough. I mean, I
yeah,
remember, I mean, this was years ago during the World Cup tournament. One of the guys from the USA team had his face stepped on with the soccer cleats, and his skin just like was removed from a portion of his. I don't want to say cut because it wasn't cut. It was just removed because he got stepped on. It was just the force of the cleats coming down on his face that just pushed his skin off, and he
dude.
stayed in the game.
Yeah. Dude, oh, you want to know the? Yeah, I don't want to be that one
I
up
mean,
guy,
honestly,
but
if
I'm
this
gonna be the one up guy right now.
hold on, if that was the NBA, the guy would have been out for 6 months and he would have been
Yeah, that's
fine. And
that.
it would have
That
been, you know, multiple fouls thrown and an entire half of a team thrown out of the game or something like that.
yeah. If that was a QB in the NFL, like everybody on defense would have been kicked out.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah. One of the craziest things I saw live and in person. This was when I was in college in Lubbock, Texas, and I was watching a Texas Tech rugby match. Sorry, and I'm watching the match, and because I was thinking about joining a rugby club team that also competed in collegiate rugby,
yeah.
and the one of the Texas Tech players comes off the field holding his ear after a big tackle and scrum and everything, and he comes off and he gets to the sidelines and lets go of the ear, and the ear starts to partly just hang off his head. And what they did was they duct taped. They put
Oh
duct
my
tape all around his head,
God.
duct taped it, and he ran back in and
Man,
finished the game. And I
those
was
guys
like,
are
"You're crazy."
those guys are crazy too. A couple years ago, back when I worked at a freight brokerage, when I worked there, guy that sat a couple seats down from me was from South Africa, so he got us into watching rugby that summer. And so everybody like in our row had our phones leaning up against our computers, and the rugby tournament during the day that was on, we were watching it. That's a fun game. I have no idea what I was watching.
Oh,
I still liked it.
I
I'm
do. I
very
did that one
confused by
season. I
this.
did the one season. I played one season. I played Hook. It was a great season. I learned how to play. I know the rules. It was a great game. That was all I've ever played.
Gotcha.
But I can say I played rugby on a team
Yeah.
one time.
Who'd you play for?
It was at LCU, Lubbock Christian University was the school I was going to. We just put a social club team together.
Okay.
Nothing big,
Yeah.
nothing big.
Nice.
So, all right, let's get into stocks and investments. Let's talk about everything that happened. Fed Jerome Powell talked on Wednesday. He gave some statements. He used some terms that I just make my ears crawl. He mentioned transitory inflation like 4 or 5 times. I was just kind of like, oh no, he did not just say that. But he used it in regards to Trump tariffs. And he said that the Trump tariffs will create some transitory inflation that lasts for a small period of time and then passes. And when in regards to tariffs, it's actually in my opinion, it's a
But it
correct
is. But
definition.
here's the thing. Here's the reason. It doesn't mean that the inflation's going to go necessarily away in itself. It just means that the inflation that we experienced this year, which is the devaluation of the dollar or the growth in prices, whichever way you want to put it, isn't going to happen again next year. That's what he's thinking. So that we'll see, like a certain percentage of inflation happen to prices. And then that won't continue through next year because the tariffs will likely remain the same, hopefully.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
prices aren't going to come back down.
No, not in the short term, no. So I like his definition and how he's using it in regard to what the context that he's talking in. So I do agree with his definition. I'm not saying I agree with him on his policy standpoints. I agree with him on his definition, right? So he went in, he said they're not going to cut, they're not going to raise, they're not going to do nothing this time around, which everybody expected that. Nobody really, in my mind, that I've talked to or that I've seen analysts on TV or any articles out there said any different. Everybody expected nothing happening this time around. That was the expectation. In fact, most people expect nothing to happen until June, and then we expect rate cuts in June.
Yeah.
I feel that if Trump continues with these terrorists come April 2nd, like he's saying, after April 2nd, we'll see how things go. And then maybe April or May, if it's a bad, like if the worst case scenario happens and it's just completely bad, you may see cuts in May instead of June, or if it's the best case scenario where you see some influx in prices of just foreign products, but American made products stay low. So people buy more American made products, yada, 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 which is what Trump's best case scenario is. You may see a little bit of inflation, but Jerome Powell will be like, we're not going to do anything. We feel like it's good right where it's at. So I mean, there's all kinds of different possibilities that could happen. It all has to wait and see until after April 2nd.
Yeah. And the volatility surrounding tariffs at some point is going to come to an end. It may be a little bit longer with Trump because he likes to play hardball.
He
But at
does. He does.
some
That's part
point,
of his negotiation strategy.
yeah, at some point we're gonna come up to a conclusion on this. Hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah. So I mean, so I hope so too. So the market can get a sense of direction, and we can now move in that direction.
Yeah, the whole market and also the microeconomy too. I mean, we need to get the suppliers figuring out how they're going to share the costs with, the vendors and the customers and such, and what if we're charging 10% at the border, who's going to handle that cost? That's all got to be negotiated also. And if that's going from 10% to 15% to 20% back down to 15%, that throws a wrench in it.
Well, yeah, and they need to know. You're right. You're right. They need to notice that cost, and so it's after April 2nd, and you're going to have the negotiations like we see between Walmart and its suppliers, and they're going back and forth to who's going to handle that cost. And every company, every situation is going to be different. It's a case by case basis. Some companies are going to be winners. It sounds like Walmart's holding the cards here, so Walmart's not going to raise their prices. So Walmart's going to be the big winner here. If they could continue to pressure their suppliers, but if they can't and they can't hold that hard line with their suppliers, then Walmart might suffer.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I didn't hear anything that come out of the meeting that the Chinese government was supposed to have with Walmart. So I don't know what the result of that was.
but what does that tell you? Like, what does that tell you if you don't hear nothing from that?
I mean, I just didn't look into it. So I don't know if there's no big headlines. I don't
The
know.
only thing, yeah, the only thing I did was I did like some Google searches, some Wall Street Journal searches, and I didn't see anything either other than the articles and news talking about it happening.
Yeah.
So what does that tell? Does that tell you that the Chinese government lost and Walmart won? Because they're
Oh
going to
man.
keep that quiet, like, oh, well, let's just keep this quiet. Because Walmart was keeping everything quiet from the beginning. They weren't blasting it out there that they were telling the suppliers that. It was the suppliers going out there to the public saying, Walmart's making us do this. We don't like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Walmart was
And
being quiet about everything,
they didn't want to throw gasoline on that fire.
right? So
Yeah.
I feel like, Walmart, I feel like, I don't know. I don't, it could be either one. Who knows? But no news. No news.
Yeah.
We'll see how that all works out. Anyways, we actually have things we wanted to talk about. Let's get into it. Rules, rules, rules. Brandon and I get together 5 to 10 minutes before the show, and we tell each other what we're going to talk about. Here to live back and forth, the bicker and the banter right here on the show for you. Brandon, take it away.
All righty. Well, I said last week that I wanted to pay attention to FedEx's earnings. I listened to a little bit of the earnings call. I didn't get a chance to look into it yet. That's one thing that I'm going to do after the show, actually. But I will tell you, they had weak guidance. That's why the stock was down 6% after earnings on Friday. And they referenced a weak industrial economy. They said that the United States has a lower industrial economy, which has impacted demand for its services. They cited inflationary pressures, and they cited uncertain demand and talking about they talked a lot about the tariffs with geopolitical and macroeconomic factors as well. Now, the weak industrial economy, that's a big deal for FedEx because 90% of FedEx Freight's revenue, of course, is business to business. So if we've
Yeah,
got
but
a
I
weak
mean they
industrial,
have other things besides FedEx Freight, FedEx Ground, FedEx Express. They
yes.
divide the company up in
Yeah.
this manner.
I mean, and I didn't see, how much of the parcel service is business to business too, but I would assume that's pretty large part of that business as well for FedEx. Just, I mean, I come from company after company that has scheduled FedEx deliveries to the back dock, where we have to go pick up 50 or 60 different FedEx boxes or deliver them. So I mean, that's a big portion of their business. And so if they're saying there's a weak industrial economy, I'm going to listen to them. Um,
And that's why we wanted to listen. That's why last week we said, hey, I want to see what FedEx says about the economy going forward. They're saying the industrial economy is weak, but that tells me if they didn't mention anything about the consumer, did they say anything about consumers? Is consumer strong and like maybe the commercial FedEx ground is doing well?
I mean, quite frankly, I did not listen to the entire earnings call yet, and I have not researched the earnings. I just picked apart like the first 20 minutes of it. is what I had time for so far.
I'm
So
pulling it. I
you
have
might,
it pulled up right now. I'm reading through it as you're
yeah,
talking.
yeah. I mean, e-commerce I think did pick up for them.
It says FedEx Freight spinoff costs. Are they spinning off FedEx Freight into its own separate company?
I believe so. That sounds familiar.
Why did we not know this? We have a stock news analyst show called
I
Chinchilla
know.
Bacon. How did we not know?
Well,
This
I
is
mean,
huge news.
listen, the Purchasing Managers Index, PMI for manufacturing, has been in contraction territory for almost over a year, um, almost 2 years now. Industrial production's been low. We of the 10 industries tracked, the PMI 11 reported contraction in October of last year, and I think that's kind of continuing. It's been volatile. So business to business and the industrial economy just does not seem to be doing well right now. This is why I'm telling people to be cautious.
So you
And
may have looked at FedEx Freight earnings because FedEx Freight and FedEx now are two separate companies,
okay,
two separate companies, and they're listed separately on the New York Stock Exchange. And what that was
I was actually on FedEx's earnings call,
okay. All right.
so um, awkward silence for a podcast right now. What
Right?
do you
We
think?
don't ever want awkward silence. Come on
Yeah,
now. Because
yeah,
I'm reading here, I'm reading the earnings report and it's saying that FedEx Freight was excluded from FedEx earnings as of effective for this Q1 here. Well,
okay,
not Q1, whatever this is for FedEx. I believe this is Q4 for FedEx.
gotcha.
Their Q1 starts.
I
Yeah.
think we're in Q3. I
Is
think
it
that was
Q3?
Q3
Yeah.
earnings. Yeah, I think it's Q3 earnings. So yeah, I don't know. This is why I'm telling everybody to be cautious going into the stock market right now. I just don't have a good feeling. I just don't. When we talk about the manufacturing PMI, this is just kind of numbers that are backing up my feeling on it. I feel like we're at the start of a mild recession that will hopefully not get any stronger than that. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna get you a. I'm gonna buy you a personalized Care Bear that says Perma Bear, just for you, because I feel like we've been. How long have we been doing this show? What, 2 years, 2.5 years,
Yeah,
almost
I
three.
mean, sometimes it takes that. Like sometimes you see like these things. It takes a long time for these things to roll out to the rest of the economy. And we did have a technical recession in my defense a couple of years ago.
Yeah, no, 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 and I was with you at that time. I was with you at that time. Um, it, yes, there are always in my mind. Here's my view, Brandon. Here's my view on this, and for our listeners as well. There's always going to be some signal you could find to show that there's some weakening in the market at all times. And there's always some signal you can find to show bullishness in the market at all times. No matter what is going on, typically you could find something. There's few cases where the cases where you can't find one thing one way or another are rare, and that's usually when you have something like what happened in 2008. That's usually what happens when you have something in 1932, 1928. That's when you have like where you can't find nothing. But usually you can find something.
Well, I
You
mean,
know,
FedEx expressing uncertainty in demand, and they said especially business to business, citing inflationary pressures, a weak industrial economy, geopolitical macroeconomic factors, including the tariffs.
so it's all about tariff related because for me, what I hear is it's all tariff related uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen, so we're just going to say we're going to do bad, and then
Just don't know that it
when we
is.
report earnings, it's going to be great, and then we're going to beat earnings, and our stock is going to do fabulous.
It just feels like everybody's cash strapped right now.
But these earnings, when we see these earnings, how many? I would like to know of the S&P, how many companies beat and how many companies missed.
Let's look at it.
I
Hold on.
would like to know that because I would bet you that majority of companies are beaten on
But
the
do we want to
earnings.
say beat? Because if the expectations are already low, like for
But why are they
example, let me
low?
give
Are
you an
they low
example.
because of consumer
Yeah,
sentiment
but
again?
let me give you an example. The expectations for Nike were really, really low. They beat. On declining revenue, I think 9% year over year.
But even
So
you were you're a shareholder and you had low expectations.
yeah, I know. So does that count? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that counts as a beat
It
because
counts as a
everybody.
B, but it's declining revenue 9% year over year.
Ah,
It's not
well,
good.
no, it's not good. It's not as bad as we thought though.
This is true.
So I mean that goes back to my point. Like, I I I believe the U.S. consumer is still strong. I believe that yes, there are things that can happen very quickly in a matter of months to drive this economy completely in the opposite direction. And I'm always on the lookout for those. I'm looking out for the amount of student loan defaults. I'm looking at the amount of credit card defaults, subprime defaults. I'm looking at defaults.
Yeah.
That's going to be my first signal to just cash out. But right now, I feel like there's a lot of good opportunities, and I back up the truck.
Okay. Let me look. I'm gonna
Maybe
ask.
I'm too used to risk is what it is. I feel like I'm too used to it. It doesn't phase me anymore. If
Well,
I
look,
believe in
I
something,
mean,
if I have a good belief in it, it doesn't matter if there's a risk out there. I'm gonna go ahead and go for
credit card. I'm asking the smartest person I know right now, which is Microsoft Copilot.
it. Not Chat GPT or any of the others.
I mean, I think it's basically the same thing, right? Listen, if you're risk averse, then don't buy stocks. It's that clear. Like if you're scared that everything's gonna go bankrupt, then go to zero. You have no business investing.
Yeah, I mean, just let someone else handle it and let them give you updates every now and then, because yeah, risk is part of it. I mean, and you're not going to be a winner. Nobody's 100% right all the
Okay.
time.
So this has year over year, and this has got the numbers for 2024. Defaults on credit card accounts rose by 50% compared to 2023.
For 2024, but I want to know where it's
Yeah.
at now.
What's that? Yeah, okay. Well, we're 3 months into the year, so the first quarter is over essentially in the year. But I mean, that's not good either, right?
Yeah.
That's but
And we
again,
got opening day baseball. You got the summer travel season. You know, I don't know.
is opening day baseball as big everywhere else as it is here in Cincinnati?
I don't think so.
I don't think. I
I
mean, it is
don't.
wild how crazy it is here.
It's huge
I
here. It's
mean,
like a
yeah.
national holiday here in Cincinnati.
And for us, it's just normal. But for people that travel to Cincinnati and see it, they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is wild!" Like kids get
Like,
off for it. Like,
yeah.
of
Like,
course,
guys, it's just a baseball game. It's just the first one of the year.
yeah, we're like, of course we withhold our kids from school for the first game of baseball. And even if you are in school, by the way, 90% of the classrooms just have the game on. We're not learning
Right.
anything.
That's pretty true. Yeah.
But I mean, I do want to say this, like, I don't have good sentiments on the overall economy, but if you still can find stocks that are good value, I mean, I just bought Nvidia, right?
Yeah.
But I think you need to be cautious about it. Maybe hold some, money aside, for better deals even. If you've got any wins in the market that you're up, I'm not against taking some off the top and just, you know, waiting to see what
So
happens.
so someone explain I explained this to one of the people in our stock trading group. And I explained it to him. I said, look, I own Coney, I own Mo, and I own ARC, ARCC. So MO, ARCC, and CONY.
Yeah.
And I own all three of those. And they between the three of them, I'm getting dividends of some sort every single month.
Right.
Of some sort every single month. Mo and Arc are stable for me. Coney, but Coney has paid me in the same amount of dividends as my initial principal investment. So from now on, starting next month, anything I get is just gravy, which is fabulous for me, right? But they pay me dividends, and that's how I always have cash to invest, is because I owned so many shares of these dividend paying stocks, and that's why I just constantly get a cash in my account constantly to invest, and it works well for me that regard. That way, I don't have to
Yeah.
worry about DC. How am I going to DCA? Well, I just wait next month. I'll give a dividend payment or something, and I'll DCA that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the worst case scenario for anybody is that they lose their job during a recession. That part sucks. But I mean, that's why you keep 3 to 6 months of money saved in your savings account as a buffer for that. You know, you want to be able
Well,
to pay your bills and
I
not
mean,
sell
you could
stocks
do
that.
this 3 to 6 months in a savings account, or you can put money in. I mean, if you're just gonna have it sit there, I mean, you can put it in an IRA, a Roth IRA,
But
and you
I
can
don't
pull it out.
know. No,
You can
you
pull
like
it out
for
without
me.
penalty.
I mean, yeah, for you, but okay, but for me, it's like, all right, I want 3 to 6 months of money saved. That way, if I lost my job in a recession, then I don't have to sell my stocks or a stock account at the absolute lows. You know what I mean?
But I mean, if you're listening to the show and you're an actively watching your account, your investment, say you only have three companies you're invested in, you're just starting off, you only got a couple $1,000, you only have like two or three companies you're looking at. You're gonna know if they start to drop, and you're gonna know if you want to pull your money out before it gets to that
You won't
point.
always know because there could be that in the mindset like, oh my gosh, I want to sell this because it's not doing well, but has it already dropped enough? You know, like if you're down 5%, 10% on it, then you start to think sometimes, especially if you're not as experiencing this as me and you are, then some people are going to start thinking like, I don't know if I should sell. They're going to be in their own head about it.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that, especially for a new investor. I can
Yeah,
see that.
keep that. I'm just think you keep the buffer. Is what I think. That's how it works for me. It's a psychological thing, really. It is.
Yeah. I
So
got you. I got you.
yeah,
Yeah.
um,
I just can't leave money just sitting there not earning hardly any interest.
yeah,
At least give me 10% a year. Come on.
yeah. I mean, well, you could buy treasuries. You're not going to get 10% a year out of it.
But at least you're getting something.
Yeah, that's what Warren Buffett does.
Yeah. See.
Buys the treasuries. But you know what? I wanted to talk about Nike today. So let's talk about Nike real quick
Do we have
because
any more time left? I mean, how long have we been talking about baseball and other things? Let's
I don't
let's
know.
get into Nike.
Yeah. So revenue did drop 9% year over year to $11.3 billion. This did exceed analysts' expectations of $11 billion of revenue. The new CEO, Elliot Hill, who's this was his second conference call since coming back, he acknowledged that meeting the expectations of the analysts was good, but he's extremely dissatisfied with the overall results and said that they can do better. So I was happy with that. I was happy with the CEO that comes on and says, "Look, I'm not happy about this. I'm not happy about what you're hearing." That actually made me feel better because I wasn't happy about it either.
We like CEOs who are honest.
Yes. So they withdrew their full year guidance back in October. They're providing quarterly updates, which is good. Fiscal Q4 revenue is expected to decline to the low mid teen digits, aligning with the 12% drop in revenue year over year. So we're going to see another 12% drop in revenue, most likely. Gross margins are projected to fall to 4 to 5 percentage points due to tariffs and geopolitical uncertainty. Nike does a lot of manufacturing in China and a lot of importing from China. So the tariffs that are happening right now are affecting them. They're going to continue to affect Nike as long as this continues to go on. Gross margins projected to fall 4 to 5 percentage points. CFO Matthew Friend stated that Q4 will face the biggest impact from what they're calling their win now actions. They're reinvesting back into running, back into their suppliers, getting back onto the store shelves and back into the front of the consumers where the consumers are. So I'm happy about that. I like that. But you're going to see the biggest, impact from that in Q4. So over the next 3 months. Now, even with that margin decline, they're still at 41% margin. So that's still good. Anything over 40% margin from your gross margin is great, in my opinion.
What's their net margin?
You know what? I don't have that in front of me, Dave. Wish I would have because that's the most important stat, and you would think I would have had that, but I don't.
That's
But
the
I will. I'm going to talk about what I think their most important stat. It for me, their most important numbers are the cash on hand and their short term and long term debt. But I'll get to that here in a minute. They're optimistic about new launches and wholesale recovery. They predicted predicting a V-shaped recovery by fall fiscal 2027. That's Jefferies, by the way. I didn't say that at the very beginning, but the Jefferies analysts are predicting a V-shaped recovery in Nike by fiscal 2027. I'm staying in this stock, and I'll get to why really here in a minute. But I will say this, it's not going to be for the faint of heart. It's really not. I mean, we're still projecting revenue decline for this year, earnings decline for this year. It's going to be tough, and this is one thing that I'm looking at, just cost averaging down and waiting out for the recovery on
That's
it.
what I was gonna ask. Are you DCAing it? And you are.
Yeah, I'm
You are
gonna have
DCA.
to. I'm gonna have to. But the cash on hand for Nike was around $9.7 billion dollars. Um, that's okay. But when you look at the long-term debt for the quarter, $7.973 billion dollars, that was a 10% decline. I like the movement on that. Um, they're remaining committing to revitalizing their marketplace. They want to leverage the strong brand. Short-term debt is $1 billion. So they got enough money on hand to cover that short-term debt very quick. And for those who don't know, short-term debt is anything that's due within the next 12 months. Long-term debt is after that. They've got a strong balance sheet here. So this is a
Gotcha.
company with with a lot of brand equity, right? Everybody knows who Nike is, and throughout the entire world. This is a perfect setup for a turnaround. This is better than what General Electric was as far as the balance sheet goes. They've got a better balance sheet. They've got more advantages than General Electric did. Let's see how it goes.
Okay. All right.
So
Um, you're not convincing me. I'm not buying in. I feel like because like we said last time when you talked about Nike, how I posted on Facebook, asking for shoe suggestions, and still nobody said Nike. Um, Everybody had other shoes. People DM me directly with different brands. Not one person said Nike.
I think that might change. They're launching two new shoes, Nike Pegasus Premium. It's a running shoe that's designed to deliver the highest energy return among the Pegasus models, which means that essentially you get a energy return that is the shoe propelling you forward. So the less amount of effort you have to put into running, that's the highest energy return that a shoe has. Does that make sense?
Yep, makes sense.
They've got the Air Max DN8, which is featuring what they call dynamic air technology, uh, which they say offers exceptional cushioning and comfort. They've got the new Lucas out, is from the Jordan brand. Those are actually really cool looking. If you want to take a look at those, anybody Google's the Luca shoes, the new Luca shoes, those look cool. And of course, I'm a Luka Doncic fan,
Well,
so
yeah.
and then they're also talking about too. They made a point to talk about getting back into the runners conventions. Nike's Win Now initiative is a strategic plan that's aimed at revitalizing its business and driving growth. The strategy is focusing on five key sports categories: running, basketball, football, training, and sportswear. They're also emphasizing three priority countries: the United States, China, and the UK, and five major cities: New York, Los Angeles, London, Beijing, and Shanghai. It's interesting that they don't mention Branson, which is where their large factory is and is the running capital of the world, Branson, Missouri. I mean, it's
Really?
not a large,
Branson, Missouri.
it is. Yeah,
No, I got to Google that.
it is. And I've been to Branson before. I didn't know
I've
that.
been to Branson as well.
Um, the other thing that I saw too, and again, how many times have we promoted this on the show? Go to the website, chinchillapicking.com, and you'll find a article that was written by me on how to grade a stock. And in that article, you'll see that return on investment needs to be 15% or higher. Nike's still at 21.85%. So they're still running a good balance sheet with what they have. The problem has been the sales have just not been there for the past 2 years. So I'm betting on them revitalizing their brand.
But there's been companies like OnCloud, Hoka, that have jumped up and really stolen the limelight from them.
And Skechers.
Skechers. I mean,
Yeah.
there's all these. So I go on Instagram. I've been shopping for my hiking trip, and I've been on this workout binge, and I'm losing weight, and I'm doing more active things outside of the house, and I'm looking at different workout outfits and shoes and stuff. And I'm seeing all kinds of companies out there now that are in that market of like cross training or CrossFit or even running shoes that I've never heard of before that are just out there selling tons of shoes. And there's just too much competition in niche markets for Nike.
And it was because of Nike's decisions that that happened. So,
Yeah,
like
but
many
now it's
companies,
too competitive. Nike needs to come out with something good in order to compete. And I don't know if they have anything good other than their name.
I think we're getting there. I'm gonna bet on it. That's what I'm doing. That's why I own the stock still and why I'm staying put is because they've balance sheet wise, they've got a perfect setup. So let's
Okay.
see what they do with it. And it's a new CEO, new leadership. Well, it's a returning CEO who was successful in the past. So let's see where they go from here. I don't think it's going to be for faint of heart. So if you're gonna, complain about losing 5% on it after you buy it, or freak out about it, then don't buy it. But
Everybody's gonna freak out.
if you've got money that you could put into the stock and let it sit for 5 to 10 years, I think it's a good thing. I think this could wind up. I don't think it's going to be as spectacular as Meta's return was for me. But I think it's got the potential, and maybe not even General Electric. General Electric had an incredible turnaround, but not as much competition, right? But I do think we're going to see a pretty good turnaround here. I hope, at least. And so until the balance sheet starts to deteriorate completely, then I'm holding on to it and betting on the brand equity to turn it around.
Cool. All right.
I had another point to make, but I forget what it was. So
Good. So then we can move right into what I want to talk about. How about that? Let's just do a hard transition here. Um, so I want to go in a couple of different things. First thing is, and I want to spend some time on these first things, but I want to get into Novo Nordisk real quick. I said it was a buy last week. I still maintain the buy rating on it. Here's what I want to talk about though: is this past week they had a number of things. Class action lawsuit. I knew about the lawsuit beforehand. There was just more news headlines about it this past week. I'm not concerned about that class action lawsuit. I don't know if it's going to go through, but I've worked it in. Even if it does go through, I still think it's a buy, and that's not going to sway my anything on me. Why I think it was a buy is because all these compounding. I went into what a compounding pharmaceutical company is, what they do, how they work. These compounding companies are standing their ground, Brandon. They're saying they're not going to stop. One of the big ones out there, we've covered Hims, Hers, there's Willow, there's Amble, LEMD, Mochi Health, right? So Mochi Health has come out and said that we have no plans to stop. Neither do the four pharmacies it uses to supply patients with the medications. So the Mochi Health is the one who uh, makes the compounded drugs for semaglutide or triz. I can't even say it, man. The other one for Eli Lilly's Zepbound and Majorno. But they make the generic versions of these compounded versions and they get them out there, right? The pharmacies sell them to the patients. So the four pharmacies that supply Mochi's Health versions, compounded versions, say they're not going to stop either. The company says they use a network of 500 providers to write prescriptions. And why they're saying they're not going to stop is they say they do personalized versions of the drugs, which they're saying it's a loophole in the FDA that allows them to continue to make compounded versions of these drugs. So some of their examples would be different dosing schedules, different other medications that you mix into the compounded formulations. Um, Depending on side effects that certain people have, they can make these personalized to these individuals. Mochi Health has said compounding, the quote unquote, compounding really opens up the door for so much personalizations. So this is where Mochi Health is standing its ground. Compounding is where pharmacies mix ingredients of a drug to create specialized versions for specific patients. Some say it is allergic to a dye in a branded medication or needs a liquid form, and the main manufacturer only sells capsules. In that case, patients can turn to a compounded version. Also, when drugs are in shortage, which is what happened to Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, the compounded versions can make larger quantities and help fill the gap. But Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk said now that they're fine. FDA said, okay, all you guys have to stop doing these compounded versions. Mochi Health and all these other companies saying, well, we're not going to stop. It's because we do personalization. Well, the problem with this is what I see the problem with Mochi Health and all these other companies, and I just keep picking on Mochi Health because they're the one being the most outspoken, is the fact that Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly have the quantities now to supply the demand. And that was the only reason to begin with that the FDA granted them the ability to go ahead and use these compounding. It was not because of personalization. And now they're coming out and say, "Well, everything we're doing is because of personalization," but that's not how you got the permits, the permission to do it to begin with. So you have to prove that. And I believe they're going to lose the battle against the FDA. The FDA is not one is has been known in the past many times to stop pharmaceutical companies from producing what they wanted, and it's really gotten in the way of a lot of good drugs that have done very good things and well things for consumers many times before in the avenue of safety and reliability here. So I'm I'm betting against these compounding companies. I'm saying Novo Nordisk is going to win out in the end, and it's time to buy the stock. It's dropped enough. It's at a good price. I'm a buyer of it still at the price, even with these headlines. Brandon, first initial thoughts.
Well, they got a big head start on everybody else.
Well, yeah, they got a big head start. I mean, these compounding. The main reason why the stock is down is because of the lawsuits and the compounding companies. And the compounding companies are able to pump out lots of this in a very generic fashion. And but I covered the dangers of compounding last time, and that it can be risky because they're not as strict with their manufacturing process as some of these big pharmaceutical companies are. Now, some people could say, well, the big pharmaceutical companies are too greedy, and we go down that approach, and that these compounded ones are actually cheaper. And it can be cheaper and it cannot be cheaper. It all depends. It all depends. Do you have insurance? What is your insurance covered? Is it not covered by insurance? Are you paying out of pocket for this? Those are different things that play in a part of this. And I've explained how these pharmacies work with insurances before. Sometimes it has nothing to do with the manufacturer, such as Novo Nordisk or Eli Lilly, as what the actual end price is going to be.
What
You know,
about, yeah, so what about Eli Lilly? Would you be a buyer of them? I just saw a couple of commercials for their GLP-1 product.
Yeah, Eli Lilly, yeah, because the companies have already been told to stop, and a lot of them have stopped for Eli Lilly Zepbound, their version of it.
Okay.
Zepbound is Eli Lilly's drug. It's trizipatide is the actual drug that they have copied and done, compounded versions of it. It's just a handful of these compounded companies, such as Mochi Health, that are saying that they're holding out and they're not going to stop, and they're going to continue providing these for their customers. And it's like you're going to lose. The United States, it's millions and millions of people use these drugs every single day, and the FDA's got to look out for the end U.S. Consumer in the end and safety. And there's too many risks, in my opinion, of compounding companies.
Yeah.
They move too fast and they try to produce too much without the oversight that the big pharmaceutical companies have to go through, you know? So I'm a buyer. I would buy Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk. Yes,
Okay.
I would be a buyer of either. Um, all right, I want to move into cryptocurrency. A lot of things, a lot of big news with the current administration on crypto. I want to cover a couple things. First thing is, I want to cover an article that came out on 321 at 3:24 p.m. on the Reuters New Wires by Hannah Lang was the author, and the article headline reads: U.S. SEC holds crypto task force roundtable as Trump plans regulatory revamp. It's quite a headline, right?
Mhm.
You can see why it caught my eye. So I went ahead and read the article. It talks about this crypto task force, and they're holding their first meeting. Who's involved? A lot of former SEC chair uh, persons, a lot of former SEC's Office of Internet Enforcement, general counsels, crypto industry. What do you call them? Uh, Anyways, a lot of people involved in this who have had significant roles inside the government here. Basically, they're going to have a commission that's going to have a new approach to crypto regulation. The crypto industry has long clashed with regulators over how federal securities laws can translate to digital assets, with many arguing that crypto tokens are more akin to commodities and not securities. And that's where the difference in the clash has been is where do we classify these and how do we classify them? Most people are saying inside the crypto industry. It's a commodity. It's not a security. Some people are saying it is a security. It's not a commodity, and that's a disagreement. Donald Trump, who's campaigned on promises to be a crypto president, has pledged to reverse the industry crackdown. Now, we saw it this past week with headlines that the SEC has finally dropped its lawsuit against Ripple, XRP. You thought that would be a boon to Ripple. There was a small 5 to 10% jump in Ripple that day of that announcement, but then it's come back down. Not much else for Ripple, but you've already saw the first big SEC withdrawn lawsuits against these companies. Binance is another company that you couldn't even talk about Binance on the Beltway. Otherwise, people would back off from that conversation just because Binance was a four-letter word there for a while. I mean, nobody liked them. They were completely against regulation. Now Binance is looking, good again. There's a lot of moves that people have said out there about the Trump family members coming in works with Binance in order to start some cryptocurrency companies and move forward with some tokens, but we'll see if that even materializes or if that's just news, just talk on the wires there. But anyways, the task force Friday debated whether crypto tokens require a new separate regulatory framework different from the SEC and how it oversees securities. And this would be a whole new thing, Brandon. This is where the disagreements and everything breaks down is do we need a new part of the SEC just for crypto? What is crypto? Is it a commodity like forex? Is it we're going to trade it like the pound versus the dollar? What's going to go on here? The discussion carries on, but the hope now with the current administration is that it's going to be a much more friendly with Trump in the office. So you go forward to another article that came out this week about calls about where Bitcoin's going underneath the Trump administration. We go in here and talk to Nigel Green. He's the CEO of the Veer Group. He's one that covers cryptocurrencies consistently. Green has consistently talked about the potential for Bitcoin to outshine gold, especially if the Federal Reserve reduces interest rates this year. He said it's going to be a much boon for the Bitcoin and crypto world. He expects Bitcoin to go over $150,000 by the end of this year alone. Bitwise CIO Matt Hougan says Bitcoin could see, and BitMEX CEO has also said Bitcoin can reach over 250,000 by the end of the year, depending on how the U.S. economy moves and what goes on within interest rates. So they're both saying interest rates is going to have a big effect of whether money flows into Bitcoin as it's seen as a safe haven to put, especially if you think it's going to be a recession, Brandon. People are saying Bitcoin is where you're going to move your money to.
Okay.
So after I just threw all that out you, that you hear that the SEC is looking at newer ways to regulate crypto. They've already started dropping lawsuits against crypto companies. Binance is now welcome back at the table. The Trump administration says that they're going to be a crypto friendly administration. Now, because of all that, everybody's calling Bitcoin to be moving up. Brandon, how do you feel about crypto now?
I like it. I like Bitcoin and the top players and in the crypto. There's going to be a lot that just simply do not exist in 10 years from now probably. Um and that's the same with any new industry. And this is still relatively new, even though I think Bitcoin started in like 2010 or something like that,
Yes.
somewhere in the 2000s. I like the fact that governments are building up their reserves. That's a good thing for Bitcoin. It's also a bad thing too, because that means they can manipulate the price of Bitcoin a lot faster. I think they're building up their reserves in Bitcoin so that they could do something similar that they did to gold when they need gold prices down. They can drive gold prices down by selling it onto the market, and then when they need them up, they can buy gold and drive the prices back up. But they could probably do the same thing with Bitcoin, which is unfortunate because Bitcoin was made to try to be outside of government's influence.
I mean, here's the thing: if governments can do that, like Germany's already been at this years ahead of the United States, right? Germany has quite a few bitcoins, and if governments are willing to start doing that and build these reserves, and they feel like they can have a big influence in the market as a whole, then they're more going to be more willing to allow cryptocurrencies and such as Bitcoin to be used freely without any punishment, without lawsuits, and without regulation.
Unless it starts affecting the value of the dollar, which is still the global currency, and that could be problematic as well, even though the dollar continues to decline on its own regardless. Um, I I want to leave Bitcoin for people like you who a lot more about crypto, and I kind of want to see what happens to crypto when it faces its first serious recession.
Okay.
You could point back to COVID, but that wasn't a financial recession. That was something
But
completely.
what happened during COVID? Everybody started throwing their money in crypto.
Yeah, but they also started throwing their money at one point into QQQ and the Nasdaq as well, and a lot of speculative stuff happened, including GameStop and the meme stock, stuff because people were bored and betting on all the extra money they were getting in from the COVID cash.
Uh,
So,
I think if people over talk about that COVID cash during that period, I think that was spent within 6 months for most majority of all people.
yeah, maybe.
It was.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna let you call the buy or sells on crypto.
I think I still think like the major players, like you said, are buys. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, are buys, and even the step cousin Ripple there would be a nice hold in my book. Still going to be the step cousin, but it's there. But yeah, I think they're buys because there's uses. There's going to be people putting their money in it. It's still going to be used. It's still used to move money around very easily around the world because I could buy Bitcoin, take my Bitcoin to any country, and transfer it easily to that country's currency.
Okay,
So I mean, there's a use for it.
there is.
I could go to a bank in any major country in the world with my cold storage Bitcoin and download it and get cash into account very quickly.
Yeah.
So
There's a reason why North Korea keeps hacking these crypto accounts and stealing money.
yeah, I mean, yeah, true. But like that's why you don't use these crypto exchanges that aren't secure and that haven't put the time and security in. The problem is the ones that aren't as secure, the newer, younger ones, if you will, and not younger as in young people running it, younger as in like, yeah, this exchange has only been up for a year,
Yeah.
uh, or kind of like the Solana meme coin exchanges. They haven't been up that long. That means they haven't been tested. They're ones who are going to be ripe for cash and grabs from hackers. It's not going to be the crypto.coms. Coinbase was years ago, but they haven't had one in a couple of years. So Coinbase has beefed up the security now. They've gotten better. So I mean, the major players are safe, but they charge the higher percentage to use it.
Okay. What was
Yeah.
the exchange that just got hacked by North Korea? And I think all of their Ethereum was, I think it was Ethereum. Like $60 billion worth of it was stolen, and they blamed it on North Korea.
I read that article and I was looking at it, but it wasn't one of the big. It wasn't Coinbase. It wasn't Crypto.com. It was another one, and I don't believe it was Binance, but I can't say that without uncertainty. It could
Yeah,
have been.
me either. So maybe take everything I just said with a grain of salt, but it's on the Wall Street Journal for anybody who's interested.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, they you're right. They do keep blaming North Korea, and it's because you could take that Bitcoin anywhere. You could now, if you're North Korea and you have $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, you could buy $1 billion worth of arms from another country, transfer the Bitcoin, and no one's gonna know where it's going or where the
I
money came from.
I believe this was Ethereum this time.
I mean, same thing, same principle.
Yep.
All right, so let's move into earnings this week. Here we go. Monday after the bell, we got KB Home. Get a good look at the home buyers after the Fed announcements that they're not raising rates, lowering rates, cutting rates, nothing with rates staying the same, where they feel like the home builders are going to be. That's a big signal of if they're uncertain, if they're saying that nobody's going to buy homes this year, that's a bad sign for the economy. That would prove Brandon to be correct. Tuesday after the bell, Brandon's favorite company in the world, GameStop. I only mention it just to irritate Brandon. GameStop on Tuesday.
Still
I'll
not
send
below five.
I'll
Or
send you a text message what they say. Um, Wednesday before the bell, Dollar Tree. I want to know how the Dollar Tree consumers are doing. Are they losing more customers? I believe that was the synopsis last quarter. They were losing customers. They weren't doing as well. And so I want to see if that's still the same thing this quarter. And then Thursday after the bell, Lululemon. Everyone's saying, most analysts I see on this is saying it's a buy. I want to know why. Why is everyone just in love with Lululemon right now? I want to see the numbers they're going to report after the bell on Thursday. Let me see the proof is in the pudding, right? Let's see what this pudding looks like. So
one of our biggest listeners has been a shareholder of that since I think 2016 when I told him to buy it.
really,
Yeah. And I did
yeah, he
not buy
he
it. And I
never
was
he
like,
buys stocks and never sells. Man, that
yeah,
guy
yeah.
never sells. Diamond hands, diamond hands. All right, final thought, Brandon.
I can't remember who this was, to be honest with you. I read books by Howard Marks and James O'Shaughnessy. I think that they're incredible investors themselves. Howard Marks has been one of the leaders of Oak Tree Capital. James O'Shaughnessy was and still is the head of O'Shaughnessy Investments. One of these guys was talking about at the end of 2009. They called the recession this. I can't, and again, I can't remember if it's Howard Marks or James O'Shaughnessy, but they called the recession perfectly. They said it was going to happen, and it happened. And then they were going into different investment firms and meeting with people and stuff, and telling them, "Hey, now's the time to buy." And he was having this conversation with a big investment executive, and this guy was like, "Well, what if everything goes to zero?" And then he was thinking in his head, "How are you even here? If everything goes to zero, none of this is really going to matter. It's going to be like the end of the world, right? What are
Right?
you even doing talking to me right now?" So don't. freak out about everything going to zero. If we have a recession, I think, if you're one of the people that's lucky enough to keep your jobs and keep your savings account and all that stuff, you dollar cost average into it. I mean, imagine if you wouldn't have sold in 2007, 2008, and you would have dollar cost averaged. A lot of you would be a lot richer right now than you are.
I couldn't imagine if everything went to zero and I had 10,000 in cash in my stock account. I'm just buying.
Yeah, and
Like
his
I'm
point,
buying everything.
that's it. His point is if you're really scared of everything going to zero, then why are you even doing this? What's the point for you?
That's hilarious.
And
I
by the
love
way, Nike's net margin 7.8%, so it's meh,
it.
meh.
Eh.
It's not terrible,
Not
but
bad. I
like
mean, that's good. I like it better than
10%
other
is
companies.
I like 10%. If you read my article, I think it's in there. 10% is what I like. So it's kind of low, but
Hmm.
eh. But
All right.
with a 41% gross profit margin, that means that they've got opportunity to increase that net margin after the tariff volatility is over with.
Gotcha. All right. Final thought from myself is I'm still holding my Novo Nordisk position. I own that. I'm going to continue owning that. Cooler is starting to move back up for me. Loving that. Good news there. Tesla is up, and GE Renovo I am profitable on from buying that after all the dips. So three of the four, I'm not profitable yet, but I'm holding because I believe in those three. One of the four I am profitable on. Thank you, GE Vernovo. Brandon also loved GE last week, so that's going well for me. I have no idea who's going to win March Madness. Florida looks good, I guess. We'll see. But if you enjoyed the show, if you like what you listen, please see a psychiatrist. I don't know why you would. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you for listening. Please
You're
hit the
welcome.
subscribe button. As always, we hope we've been entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. Have a good night.
Go read Mastering the Market Cycle by Howard Marks. It's a good one. Have a good night.